We're not really a subculture at all anymore. Like, it's just culture now.
I had a friend come with me to one of the game conferences here in Austin, and he looked at me and he said, "You people hug more than any conference I've ever been to."
I'm from Austin. My wife's also from Austin. We grew up here, we have family here, and so when I first came back here, I thought I might actually leave gaming. And then I looked around and I realized, oh, wow, there's actually a lot of stuff going on here.
I think it's still a little bit frustrating the way the video game medium is like looked down upon, like it's, you know, like it's base entertainment. And I think people who are connected with it and who actually explore the game space like see that there's a lot more going on.
As I make that stuff, I'm learning for myself. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't even know that that was there, right? Like that there was a whole world and a whole set of design and discovery that was possible.
Okay, there we are with color.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's a little clashy.
It's a little
garish.
Yeah.
Well, is that gonna look right spinning with this weird, what is that, a fleur-de-lis, or what do you call that?
It's fancy words, I don't know. It was the environment when we released the first Spider game was an easier environment to have a successful game in, but we're killing it with the Spider game. Like, we're going above and beyond. We actually kind of set out to make life easier on ourselves, but we're a terrible company for that. We always push ourselves really far. So we're releasing like the dream Spider game.
Like actual web. Yeah, it's our first public demo of the game. We're gonna do like a little demonstration, maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes on the game. Randy might talk about some other stuff, some research stuff that he's done, and then it'll just be there on the floor.
Are you gonna do that little secret area down there?
I did the buggy.
And the buggy's looking real good. Oh, nice. Are those back wheels gonna parallel? I would like to start with rainy day because hey, it looks cool, and then we'd be like, but actually, right now in Austin, it's a clear night. So then you reloaded the clear night, and the contrast is really sharp.
That's too. And we can even put things like lightning bolts in the sky too.
But
not like Dracula lightning bolts, but you know.
Let's do Dracula. Let's go straight Dracula. Load up clear night for a sec. That shot just looks like a storybook cover to me. It just looks super perfect.
Yeah. Urgence when this light is on this edge of the
We're making him paint human furniture, but he really wants to paint floating mountains.
Hi everybody. So this is a game that I made on my back porch with sidewalk chalk. Your feet can only touch the green squares, and your hands can only touch the blue circles, and you have to touch every one in order. There's a number on each one.
Friends from different groups were in town at the same time, and we kind of did a bar night thing where we had people from local film community and local like creative coding community and some visitors from out of town and some game designer people. This isn't like a really formally organized thing, but this was really good. This needs to happen again. And Brandon Boyer started spearheading things. That is the thing that turned into what we do now, where we get together. We have these big get-togethers at least once a month where we have, we're projecting games up on big screen, and we've got, local indie prototypes off to the side, and sometimes people are doing talks. The only project we're working on that has been announced with the codename Grave, and we've been working on it since probably since last summer. It's got a lot in common with a lot of other games I made, which is I'm trying to make a game that is deep and worthwhile. Like as a human, if you picked it up and spent time with it, you would feel like your time was well spent. Even if it's a challenging game, it has a very simple interface, so the controls are very simple. And those are things that are just kind of important to me, and they crop up in a lot of the work I do. But it seems important for humans because, like, a book doesn't have an interface, or every book has the same interface, and we all understand, oh, you do this and you turn the page and then the words go in this order. I think it's really hard for a lot of people who would otherwise really love games and get into games. It's really hard for them to have to relearn how to read a book every time they pick up a new game. And so we have this philosophy of lower the floor and raise the ceiling. And so far, this reflects most of those things, and so we're really excited, but long way to go too.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game.
The Stanley Parable was a game that I developed in my spare time while I was at college in Los Angeles. I was familiar with, or I was aware that there was a certain set of tools called the Source Development Kit that was free and available for a lot of people to make essentially whatever they want.
Solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
And I released that in 2011, and then it became more successful than I had anticipated. Reached a fairly big audience, and as a result, people came to me asking to remake the game, to expand it, and I got people offering to help me out to do that. William was one of them. I just really liked his work that he sent me. He was really enthusiastic. You know, like, this thing isn't giant. This was made primarily by one person, right? Like, William was the one who built basically everything that's in there, right? And so I have one layer of communication. There was really never a time where I felt like, okay, this is important to me. This is my voice that I would like to bring to this writing, you know, and we weren't able to just immediately go and do that, right? Like, okay, I can do that today, which is not the case for a lot of video game development.
Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Oh, of course. A 3. Really? Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion?
There are lots and lots of mods, right? And lots of different types of modding tools. Each of these tools tends to be really good for something. And the tools that I was using were really good for like a first-person game where you like walk down hallways. It was kind of like an effort to do the most that I could with what these tools were capable of. I could just do anything, really. And when those constraints and limitations get taken away, it's really scary and daunting because you don't have like something to work with. We're in a limelight right now. We're being scrutinized, you know, and people like want to know, and there's nothing we could possibly do that would like live up to all of those expectations, right? Like, I know that. I'm well aware of that, but it's really hard to let that go. I think I'm gonna work on putting some constraints back on myself.
I've been writing about games for about 7 years now, and I think that was like the perfect like starting point to start seeing the entire industry get turned on its head, because the demographic data on who played video games in 2007 is nothing like the demographic data that there is today. The biggest change is probably how the word gamer is used. Like, I don't like that word. It feels like such a generalization because something like 60% of Americans play video games nowadays. So like it's tantamount to like saying, oh, I'm a movieer or I'm a booker. I am essentially powerless to make a game. I'm a terrible artist. I don't know anything about coding. So if I wanted to make a game, like, I can't do it. If I wanted to write a book, I could do it. It would be terrible. If I wanted to make a movie, I could buy a camcorder and shoot it. It would be terrible, but I could do it. I think anything we can do to democratize game development is a good thing. And like, we're already doing that. There are more people making games today than there ever have been, which is super exciting, but not really for me because I still am like a child when it comes to JavaScript or what, C+, C Sharp, one of those C's.
I mean, when we went to school, like when we decided to go to college, there weren't really opportunities to go to college for game development, and now that has completely changed.
Yeah.
So
it's not like I'm going to be a stunt man who parachutes out of planes. You know, it's like, really? Is that, there's a thing? You know, like, which is kind of how it felt to be a, you know, aspiring video game developer when we were little kids. For Wagos, I'm going back to some of these levels that have been around for a long time and trying to like tune them up. It's sort of where the rubber hits the road in terms of all the work that these guys do to make the insects behave correctly or look good and the environments be beautiful, and it's not, you know, I get to go in and put those things together to make it like the final gameplay experience or whatever. It was 2008, and David and I were both working industry jobs at separate companies, and both of our companies actually didn't collapse. The projects we were working on collapsed, and so we sought other things
My
to do.
company collapsed. Didn't really occur to me to go indie until Randy wrote me this email. I was traveling and I got this email. He's like, do you want to go on a risky adventure? We just went out and bought MacBooks and started looking into what it would take to make games on the iPhone.
We released on the App Store pretty early in the App Store's life. And so at the time, the App Store had a lot of very low production quality 99-cent games. I mean, this always happens just before you release a product, but we started to have this anxiety about whether or not we'd completely misread the market. And we were like, oh my gosh, we make this like really high quality game that's like got all this like sophisticated art, and it's about spiders, which people hate. They're gross. Like, where you eat bugs in our game. Like, what have we done? Nobody wants an 8-month game. No one's going to pay more than 99 cents for this. But it turned out not to be true. Fortunately, like, people were actually pretty hungry for something that is a little bit deeper and richer and more sophisticated.
An audio director is somebody that will be responsible for the cohesion of the entire piece, or all of the audio in a game. I create a flow chart, and you say, okay, here's what happens here, here's what happens when the player makes this choice, that choice, and you put it all into the pieces. That goes to the composer, and the composer writes each of those pieces, because the director will say this piece needs to last 50 seconds, 30 seconds, 1.5 minutes. It needs to have the following layers. It needs to be able to have percussion here. It needs to have strings here, whatever. That it is a much longer process. It's more involved from the integration side. It's not like, in film, you're spotting the picture and you're doing that, but you're doing it so many different ways and so many different times with less budget. So indie games, they are not really, they don't have the luxury of so much budget that they have to make it look like a film or make it as realistic as possible. It's all about driving either story or game mechanic or both forward. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you've got a ton of competition from everybody that wants to do the things that you want to do. And then on the other hand, you've got a ton of opportunity from tons of people all doing pretty much the same thing and trying to be successful. So the ability for you to get your foot in the door, even if it's for free, to be able to provide content or create whatever you want for a project is not that difficult, especially if you're an easy person to work with. There's brilliant players in Austin. Granted, there are some things that they can do in Los Angeles that they can't do in Seattle, they can't do in Bratislava, they can't do in Austin. But there are some really great players here, and I contract them whenever possible, and they make beautiful music. So I don't look at it in the local sense. The world is no longer based in necessarily a single area. But as far as the proudest moment, it would be seeing my name beneath Christopher Plummer and Max von Sydow on the same credit list for Skyrim.
You can never defeat me.
Everybody wants to kill him, and that's what I like about that character. And then when I meet people that say, hey, I know that guy, I hate him, I'm like, yes, that's awesome.
Whatever.
Let's see how they figured that out.
Exactly.
I haven't even break anything yet.
This week, as a milestone, threshold for Certain Affinity, we hired our 100th full-time employee this week. So, yes. If you think about it, we get hired by teams, these big AAA teams that are 300, 350 people, and they can't even make a single, one game without calling us up for help. One thing that I'm proudest of about Certain Affinity is I feel like, to some extent, we've become a mecca for really, really talented game developers. A cheers, everybody, to drinking beer and eating cake on a Friday.
Cheers, thank you. Thank you.
Every year, 7 years in a row, we've grown. We've added more full-time staff, never shrunk, never laid anyone off. Fairly certain that we're the only company in the world that's worked on both Halo and Call of Duty, and worked on them at the same time, which is very strange. Well, right now, we're working on 3 different AAA FPS games, and we have our own digital download mobile, iOS game that we're working on. What we do now in the FPS space, in the shooter space, we're world class. I mean, I can honestly say there's no one in the world who does what we do or does it as well as we do it in the multiplayer FPS space. For example, on Halo 4, we actually did not just the multiplayer maps, but most of the multiplayer design. It's really a means to an end, and that end goal is to be the sole developer, at least the primary developer, on really big AAA, really big, ambitious console games. We're building this experience on both ends of the spectrum. We're getting this AAA experience, we're getting this unprecedented exposure to what other game developers are doing, other AAA game developers, their pipelines, their processes, all of that on the one hand. And we're also getting to take that knowledge and put it to the test on the smaller scale with these games that we own in their entirety. We believe probably more heavily than almost anyone that I've encountered in excessive testing. Within like the first week on a project, we have something hands-on playable. A lot of developers, it'll be 6 months, a year before they have anything playable.
Ultimately, it's about the end user, the person who's actually finally playing the game. That's what matters the most. And every design decision we make, every art decision we make, isn't for the artist's sake or isn't for the designer's sake. It's for the player's sake. And we start out with what's known as a gray box, which is literally just an empty room. A couple of people get together and we just start shaping and pushing and pulling things until the maps look and feel fun to play. Our philosophy is to actually stay in that phase for about 2 months. So we're not even considering art, we're not finalizing art. And then after we finally have a sign-off, we have a milestone, everyone thinks the game is fun, that's when actually a team of just a couple artists go in, start figuring out how everything should flow. So I'm always consciously aware of the final end user. Even though I'm an artist, I want it to look pretty, but it's not about me. Yeah, we are 101 people, but it's across several projects. So when you divide that down, there's usually like maybe about 30 people that we're dealing with. We're in a pit environment, which is where just everyone's sitting in the same room, bunch of desks. There's no walls or barriers, because we found that it's barriers to communication as well. I'm sitting directly next to a designer, and that designer owns the map. I own the look of the map, and then I have 4 other artists also sitting immediately around me. They're also working on the map. There's just that collaboration. It's wonderful. I have noticed, and it's a great positive, that more and more women are entering the game industry, and I definitely see that here at Certain Affinity. It's definitely the most women that I've seen in terms of actually in production. It sounds silly, but it's like 6 to 10, which is huge compared to like there's been years where I've been the only one.
The industry is pretty much white, young, white, male, straight, able-bodied. That's pretty much what we're seeing in the industry overall. When I started, the industry was about somewhere less than 3% female. Today, the industry runs about 11% female, but that includes marketing and PR and administrative and that side, not just in production. And so we've gone from 3% to 11% in 25 years. I would like to see us go a little faster than that. It's an improvement, but I'd like to see us go faster. The Fortune 500 companies have had diversity programs in place long enough now that we can actually do research on the numbers. And all the numbers, according to Forbes magazine, the numbers all show that diversity improves the bottom line of companies. The companies that had 50-50 in their upper management, 50-50 gender breakdown in their upper managements made better business decisions. They just did better business-wise. When they had racially diverse, their products were better, their innovation was better, their creativity was better. Diverse teams are simply better for business. Thank goodness for the indie game industry. It's the hope for the industry. It really is, because it's where we can do the real creative and innovative things that the bigger studios just kind of have their hands tied by their budgets and by the fact that they've got stockholders that they have to make happy and boards of directors and things like that. One of my big hopes is that the indie scene, the indie game scene, is going to be a way for minorities to find their way into the game industry and develop products that bring about their unique viewpoints and their unique life experiences and bring those kind of products to the market and to the public front, and then affecting what the bigger companies do later on when they realize the kind of audience share that they're getting with these kind of products, that the bigger companies will see the positive result.
Welcome to the 28th monthly Juegos Rancheros meetup, especially if this is your first time here. So with that out of the way, we're going to get to the reason we're all here tonight. Take a peek behind the curtain at the new Spider by Tiger Style. So thanks again for everybody coming up, and let's bring up Brandon and David.
Thank you, Brandon. So the software right now is casting a magic spell where it looks out the window and determines where you are in the real world.
I think it went super great. I mean, the software came together really well. The presentation seems like it went well. We had a great turnout.
We were really excited that, yeah, there was no crashes, there was no obvious really ugly bugs that people, I mean, insects, yes, but bugs, no. You know, a lot of people attended and watched it and seemed to be really into it. We got a lot of people walking up to us afterwards being like, we're really excited about this game, and you came up with a million new features that, you know, we would have never thought of, but really excited to play. And so, yeah, I think it was great. And we had our whole community there attending and supporting us, and a bunch of people we didn't know.
It was validation of the things that we're like putting the effort into. So now we just have to go back to the design drawing board and figure out like what the play experience is going to be for real, you know, and take it a couple steps further. So
it's really easy to make games about things like spaceships and physics and balls that bounce around and bullets that do or do not hit targets. And it's a much harder question, like, well, how do you go get like a love triangle, or, you know, somebody who's desperate for a better job, or, you know, some relatable human emotion, and like turn that into a set of rules that you put into a game. And it's not clear, it's not objective, it's very subjective. And that's the part that's super hard. And that's the part that we're not gonna get right the first time at all, but that we're kind of hoping to take one of the micro steps forward and be one of the companies who's contributing to that goal.
However, wherever you would see us going, I would kind of prefer to take a left turn and do something different.
You need to continue to iterate and work and work and work until you get to a point where you're not just saying, this is okay.
It's really exciting. This has been my dream for like 10 years.
There has never been a more exciting time to do what I do, because I could write and write and write all day, every day, and still not be able to like cover all of the exciting stuff that's going on right now.
You know, the ground for exploration just feels super fertile, you know. I'm not worried about running out of like potential ideas to explore. Like, they're always going to be there.
To watch full episodes and additional content, visit us at kru.org/artsincontext.